If you watch the Lev versus Sentinels match, you're probably sitting there going like, holy crap, Aspas is the best player in the world. And he might just be, but how does he do it? How does he get his frags? Well, today we're gonna look and deep dive his footage and figure out just that answer. Let's take a look. Want to get coached? Join this Discord. We have free and paid coaching options. Can't wait to see you there. Enjoy the video. Today we're looking at Aspas. We're trying to figure out how he gets the frags that he does. First thing we're going to look at is the comps of the enemy team. Right away we see a double dive here with Raze and Jet, and we have a Sky. So typically when you see this kind of combination, it's going to be fast, aggressive, and very explosive on particular parts of the map. So Aspas will have to be highly aware of this and be able to space accordingly. You'll see quite frequently on this half, most likely, that Aspas will pop that dash, look for that early info right away, call it out, and call for rotates as soon as possible. That's going to be a very big factor in this game. Let's see how he takes it.
Okay.
Looking for early info here right now, trying to find that explosive stuff. Immediately looking at his mini-map. This is something that I want you to really pay attention to. Pros know when to look and when not to look. So every time he goes behind a wall, for example, you'll see him immediately shift his eyes right to his mini-map right here. So let's watch this again. Boom, he's safe. I'm looking up to the mini-map. This is so important, guys. I talk about something called driver's protocol. And driver's protocol is a moment in time in which you can be looking at the minimap for safety. We call it the sentry mode in the light switch method. In the light switch method, sentry mode is basically you have 50% chance of taking a gunfight. What that means is you are usually going to be peeking in and out from cover. And when you do that, you have the ability to now check your mirrors. You look up, you look to the side, you look to this side, all that good stuff. So whenever you're in that safety mode, you can freely look for information. This whole point right here, Aspas is thinking about, I see nothing towards mid, and now I'm asking questions, what's going on? And typically in this moment, when you're in a ranked match, this is where you want to start asking the right questions. Hearing stuff towards B, gonna be rotating instinctually as the smokes are going towards this spot. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So we're trying to disturb the pacing here and just taking that chance. Why not pop the dash, come out here, immediately take a shot. Does miss, unfortunately, but this is exactly what you need to do in a 3v5 situation. So you can see when he's looking at the minimap, you see when he's looking at the situation, he's like, I need to make a play right here. If the roles were reversed into 5v3 situation for his team, he might not even make that commitment in this play altogether.
55 seconds.
Wallbang spam, see if we can catch any more trickle damage on the sides. Spamming the common areas here. Just why not? You could use this cage now to get into hell if you wanted to. One in hell. 1v2 situation, the only chance he has if someone does that. So now he has a chance to actually win this round. He's one away from the dash, so if he gets another kill, cheeky kill here, perfect. He has dash to pop here. This is now winnable. And this all comes from just over-aggression. And it happens way too much in a ranked environment. If you control yourself and you stay way back and you just play, you know, up downs on this spot here, Aspas has no chance of winning this round. But now you've brought him back into the round. Not a big deal getting that fall damage to the situation. Time is not here for Aspas now, unfortunately. And actually decently played by the Cypher here, realizing it's a 1v1 situation and just stalling out for the time. So the big factor there is just looking at how the ranked players are dealing with Aspas here and giving him the opportunities. If you give anyone with any kind of shot an opportunity, it will bite you in the ass. So make sure you're controlling yourself.
Cypher.
They're dogging middle.
Okay, so typically when Cypher's A, it's usually a solo and it's probably going to be middle or B, and that's what's being called right now. They're predicting. It's probably middle. You hear them say that quite regularly. This right here could be a solid lurk fist from Cypher, and it looks like it's going to be. And I'm totally fine with a fight like this, considering the fact that we are on eco right now. Rotate it out. So we can still catch a kill on Cypher here. Right now, the mindset for Aspas is thinking, how do I get the most amount of value possible? We're going to be doubling back here. So he was hoping that Cypher was going to go back through A main. As soon as he realized that the fight happened, he looked up, checked his mirror, as we were talking about before, and sees that the Cypher is, in fact, in middle right now. So we had to back out. And his mindset right now in a 1v1 situation is just try to do as much damage as we possibly can. We already know they're going to be chasing after based off the last round as well. So small opportunity here for a kill. Like, why not? Go for it. He's deciding. He's like, do I do it? Do I not? It doesn't really matter either way. It's just about, do I time this the right time to go down? There's more of the thing that's maximal here. Very good drop onto the rope here. Being very silent. That was the best thing that you could have done there, or best chance you had to be able to cause any damage there, so I'm totally fine with that play, of course. Whenever you're in these eco rounds, you always want to be thinking about bare ass minimum. I've talked about this several times in my Woohoojin series as well. What are the small victories that can help us in the following round? So we just made that investment on that round, so now we need to be able to have the best case scenario to win this following round, which is a gun round. And the best way to do that is get as many frags as you can. You know, do as much damage as you possibly can to the opponent. If you can prevent the plant, so we'll say PP, prevent the plant from the opponent, take out some ults, maybe even grab some orbs for yourself. These are all small victories that increase your chances of winning in that gun round. Okay, this is actually a really good fight. And I've talked about this before in my Demon 1 VOD reviews. Demon 1, when he plays Jet, is very, very good at changing elevations. So right away, Aspas has clearly worked on this angle, clearly knows where the head level is, and knows it for multiple different elevations. Whenever you're popping knives and you're taking a fight into a real possible threat, elevate yourself, jump as high as you can. If you have an updraft, that's fantastic. You can use that as well. But we want to be changing the crosshair placement for them, because really the path to victory is through the eyes of the opponent. So anytime you want to know if you made a right decision, you just have to think about from their perspective. What are they looking at? What do I don't want them to do if I were them? So I'm going to give them exactly what they don't want here, which is going to be a change of elevation. The change of elevation will naturally pull crosshair placement up and force the opponent to flick. Now, when you make a person flick, you give them a higher chance of making a mistake because they have to adjust and they have to hit that accurately. So anytime a flick happens, you're looking at inconsistency or forcing inconsistency. Now, in terms of an overall team play element, did we have to go for this kill? Absolutely not. But we're looking at Aspas, who's a pro player, nothing on the line when it comes to ranked. Nobody really cares about ranked. He already is one of the best players in the world. So why not just go for it? This mentality you have to be very, very careful of when you're playing in your own ranked matches, because this could make or break rounds for you. And oftentimes, if you leave your teammates in that 1v3 situation, a lot of times those teammates will end up faltering and you'll end up losing the round. So be very careful on your own games, especially in the ranks that you're playing in. Grabbing the op. Aspas on the op. This is going to be cool to see how he plays this. Being very reactionary right now, using the camera from Cypher to clear out what's happening. Using Cypher's eyes right now to confirm what's going on, and now we have a deep line onto A. And we're expecting Cypher to be here, one, because the camera was broken, so we know that he, first of all, has lurked here before, and there's utility that's been already used on this particular part of the map. So this allows for that easy lurk to be taken out, and based on what we know with this in previous rounds, usually middle and B side are the ones that are going to be hit right away. This allows him to take an even deeper line right now if he wants to, which is good.
3 mid. 4 mid, everyone mid.
So call out is 4 mid. This could be watched, so he has to be very careful here. He has to clear this. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I've had videos where I watched 10s, for example, and we talk about priming the peak. Notice how he pauses and stops for a second before he decides to peek out. And peek this with intention, because there's a real possibility with 4 being in middle that one's watching for this, considering the fact that we just took out Cypher, and they could be a little bit worried about Sewers in the situation. So priming the peak is simply taking that 1 second to pause, set yourself, and then peek the angle that is most likely a threat, which is what Aspas does really well here. Grabs us up.
Sky Beetle.
Expecting Cypher here, but nothing. Here's the one problem I have with him going back towards A. He's already killed Cypher the round previous. So instantaneously, if you keep playing the exact same spot over and over again, people are going to naturally avoid the op. I feel like this could have been a perfect opportunity to go and challenge for B main space on this particular round. So here's the B main push I was hoping for a couple rounds prior. This could work.
Nothing.
Jump spots for Aspas, and now we have deep B control, so he can start asking his teammates to rotate to the opposite sides of the map.
Smoke off male.
This is a powerful position that could easily be pushed up on, and obviously the other team is not ready for that peek is all, which is perfect. So just to see the layering of how this worked, the angle of peeking this early into the round can be really tough because players at this range with Vandal will hold this spot, and a lot of times you won't get the timing right. So you'll notice what his teammate ends up doing here is the Astra will jump spot for him first to bait out any shots, and that's when he can peek out and clear things. So now he's inserted here and locked in, and it's very, very easy for him to get maximum value on this position and be able to, even if there was no contact, take even deeper space in towards market area. This is super awkward with a rifle or a sniper rifle here. Excellent fight.
You have flash.
Good call too.
Yeah.
That could have been an absolute disaster. Most players in lower rank would have immediately ran in there, and the call was he has one active flash right now, so he's clearly tracking utility here, which is a big piece. One of the things that I don't really stress with lower level ranked players right away, but something at the higher level you need to be kind of cognizant of.
I jumped 3, 2, 1.
This is a great example of action comms from Aspas. So immediately they're peeking together, but he's calming exactly what he's going to do, so there's no confusion from Astra. And his goal here is really to bait for the Astra more than anything. He wants the shots to come towards him so that Astra can get an easy cleanup fight. Cloudburst could be used here in this situation.
Right.
Alright, I love this as well. So watch what he says too in the situation. When you pull an op,
Right.
I have right. Okay? This is something that I stress all the time. And there's some of you who are in the comments who think I'm crazy when it comes to opping. Use one of the angles, you ping it and say, I've got this side. And that's literally what Aspas is doing right here. You know, hook, line, and sinker. This is what I've been telling so many of you to do. When you're opping, hold one side and ensure that space so that your team can easily move up and clear that. This is so important when you're on attack side as well. If I'm going to use an example on, let's say Icebox. If you can get to this space right here, and you control this space for your team with an operator, you're holding this entire line, and it allows your team to now move up and navigate all the way to yellow. It's no different here. If you ping this map and say, this is what I'm holding, it gives your team a little bit more security to know that this line cannot be pushed on them while you have complete control over it. So it gives them that level of security and protection to be able to cross their place towards top of the site, for example, or into Snowman without having to worry about this. It's such a powerful piece. I call it the queen of the chessboard, if you will. And this is a small example of exactly how that looks in this situation here with Aspas.
No flash.
So they have it.
Huge kill. All this could have been gone had he not decided to back off earlier on. So he decides to go towards them with a shorty, which is totally fine. It's not a play that I personally like to do as an opper. I would rather fall back and hold the space. He's deciding to move forward on this. So I think there's two extremes. There's either the Aspas extreme, which obviously he's got a lot of confidence and decides to move forward in it, or you have the worthy extreme, which is to play more passive and take the fact that you have a 5v3 situation. Now, always remember, Aspas is playing ranked right now. So Aspas is going to limit test. He's going to do things for clips, all that good stuff. So him going forward is a natural reaction. when you see him in actual VCT matches, what do you think he's going to do? Probably play the passive route and call out to his team that this is what's happening over in mid. I might need some people over here. They might flip over towards A as well. So playing more passive and maintaining your numbers is usually the better play, and one that I recommend most of you guys do while you're in your ranked matches. As you can see how awkward those fights were right there. He didn't have to do any of that. He knows he didn't have to do any of that. He's laughing to himself right now on how that play went down. But that was naturally how it was going to end up going, typically for most of us when we end up taking that fight. And you can see that in these frag score lines. How often have we watched Aspas really flick and make some crazy kills? It's been very well crosshair placement, good positioning, and planning ahead of time. There's been a couple of hiccups towards vents for sure, but other than that, there hasn't been that many mistakes. And really, it's about, if you want more frags in this game, limit the amount of mistakes you make on positioning, and things just fall into your lap very easily.
Don't think he's gonna dash.
Astra B. Cypher A.
You ready?
So call out was Cypher A, which is fantastic. At this level, if you can avoid the Sentinel and go to the weaker line or the spot where usually Jet's going to be, there's not as much of a sight hold as there would be on the Cypher side. So this is the weaker angle. It's easier for him to be able to traverse through it, as there's probably not going to be trips. So we don't have to worry about any trips, so we can just move right up. We're not even looking for anything because we know that Cypher's on the other side. Now, what happens here? Well, the first thing is the buy, really. A lot of us will end up buying the Sheriff because we want to get that one tap kill. But in this space here, if he's actually entry dueling for his team, I'm sure he goes with maybe a Ghost in Cloudburst or a Frenzy Cloudburst or something along those lines, because we need to be able to dash in that Cloudburst and be able to get space. So if we had a Ghost here in the situation, we Cloudburst over this spot, we can easily control Heaven from this angle. Whereas if we go this way, we have to worry about the back end site behind us, which we're basically, if we have the information, which I'm not sure if we did, we're basically leap of faith in going in here. And now we have a bunch of angles that we have to deal with as well, which makes it really, really difficult for him. Now, an alternative would have been, if he's not taking space, which he really should be, he could be backing up here and trying to check and clear Heaven for his teammates and taking fights that way. But by doing so, you expose yourself to backside as well. So there's really, when you think about the buy that we had here, is this the most efficient buy for Aspas to take this space at this early into the round? Not really. And you need to consider what you're going to buy for your own jet play to be able to help your team entry. Looking at this comp right here, our main entry is going to be Aspas in this situation. So he has to take space, and it's very awkward to do so on these kinds of fights in these ranges with the Sheriff.
Sky was nice as well.
Move forward and we'll dash out after this fight right here on stairs, most likely. Nothing there. He pre-fires that because he's expecting a timing, and so was I. I thought for sure there would be someone there, so he's like, okay, there's someone here. Let me just fire a shot because maybe someone will run into it.
Flash,
so any second now, someone should be coming up these stairs based on the timings.
Astra,
And he knows about this. It's hard for him to move. Now he can move forward. Doesn't have to worry about that. Hell's clear.
1 HP.
One in main. Could be one back site. There it is. Back site right here. And then the last one's in main. So the other one should be at stairs where the cage was. And if he's not in stairs, then it's just simply a matter of him being in CT lower at that point. And there he is right now, CT lower. Or was he Heaven? He must have been Heaven, based on how his crosshair placement is. 8 seconds left. Might need to tap again. Oh, unfortunate. Wraps all the way around him. So good play by this guy here. And now the big factor that I want to really talk about on this round is the timing. So when we're talking about going back in Heaven here, there's a natural clock in Aspas's head, and any high-level player is going to have this. It's a feeling of where they're going to be. We call this mental projection. Now, when you break down this map, you got to think about all the possibilities of where people could be playing. And there's really not that many when you think about it. There's usually going to be, 1 to 2 over here. There's going to be 1 to 2 in middle, and there's going to be 1 to 2 in B. So usually you'll see a 2-1-2 or a 1-1-3 or something along those lines usually. And it's going to be based off your experience to know how many people are typically going to be playing in a site. So what you'll normally see when you're hitting B, for example, is someone playing rafters and someone playing into backside B. So what you need to do is have a mental projection and timer in your head as to how long it would take approximately for someone from B to rotate all the way to A. Or vice versa, in this situation, how long it would take from someone to rotate from A to go all the way to stairs and Z hall right here. So in that situation, he's got timings. He's thinking about where could they possibly be, when could they be, and from there he can easily crosshair place and plan out his fights. This map is all about timings, which is one of the reasons why I say I don't really like this VOD in particular for the first VOD you send me, because it's all about those split-second timings. And it's better to have a bigger map where you can teach those lessons at a much slower pace.
Okay, just push the smoke. Man, say Jet. 2 on B at least, or maybe 3 actually.
I'm guessing you're going to see Aspas ping or say that he's going to be holding the space, so it allows Astra to walk up. Again, this is what I was talking about before.
Race will be tower. Obi?
I hold it in default.
There it is. So literally, opping 101 on offense. I got a lot of students say, oh, opping is bad on offense. No, 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 no. It's all about enabling your teammates to be able to take space. This is perfect. Oh my god, his movement is so good. This could have been a possibility of him taking this. Again, I've talked about it several times. We've watched Jing, we've watched Tens, we've watched even Woohoojin sometimes. And we see how they peak and how they fight with the movement. There's barely any adjustment here just from this point. And then watch how he transitions to the second fight. He immediately moves. So when you're COG'd or caught off guard, it equals mass protocol. And this is a sped up version of mass protocol right here. So when you're practicing this, as I talked about it several times in multiple YouTube videos, take a look at some of them, by the way. You need to, when caught off guard, which is what's happening right here, move. You move, aim, stand still, shoot. And literally, as you watch this, as we go back, let's watch this one more time so you can see this fight. We'll do this in slow motion. The immediate reaction right now from Aspas is move, aim, stand still, shoot. So he moves, plants himself after he aims, stands still, and shoots. And he does this over and over and over again, practicing every day, making sure he has the muscle memory down. So definitely include that into your repertoire.
Rafters.
Right?
Oh, you gotta love this entry. Okay, so much going on here. When you're going into site, you need an initiator to lead in and gather the information. I want you to watch the mini-map looks that he's doing right here. Immediately, he sees the dog is going out, and he's checking and basically deciding on a balance of probabilities where people are going to be. Again, we're talking about percentages. So he's looking at this, he's seeing back sites clear. As the dog is moving up, he clears out all of back sight for Aspas in this thing. So what he's saying to himself, if this is clear and this is clear, the first place that they're going to be is... Go back a bit. The first place they're going to be is...
Rafters.
Rafters. So naturally, what we can do is Cloudburst, Updraft, Dash. This is one of the entries that a lot of Jet mains will do because it's very simple. If you have that backside controlled, you don't necessarily have to worry about it. You put your back to it, and it's very easy to change elevations right away, throw off crosshair placement, and take clean fights. Now again, the movement, move, aim, stand still, shoot, another really good example of this onto the Rays, able to deal with that really quickly. And now we're just going to ego a little bit, because why not? Let's jump on the wall, pop our dash. Gotta have this kind of confidence for sure to carry your teams out of games, but also a fight that you don't necessarily have to take. The big key here is with Aspas, it shows just how important it is to pre-plan and set up your site takes and how you want to entry. You should be practicing these things in custom servers over and over and over again in order to get the best results when you're playing in ranked. The one issue with Aspas being up right now on this is that you don't really have much forward momentum. So right away, if you want to have that forward momentum, you need to switch to the Vandal. So he asks for the Vandal in the situation. He's probably in a Cloudburst updraft somewhere in our standard take here. Oh, he's going to have to back off a second. 18 seconds left. This could be really tough to be able to take.
Bang down.
Take as much space as you can. Pop the black.
On
Oh,
backside.
that was such an awkward situation. Just based on the time, there wasn't really much that we could have done there. We didn't have backside cleared out, so the updraft dash that we've seen before in the rounds prior probably wouldn't have worked in this kind of pathing here. Now going into overtime. Notice the line. Notice the off angle he takes here. He doesn't challenge at the B main because the attackers have the advantage on that particular line. And if you remember a few rounds prior, where we were talking about the Astra jump peaks for him, this allows him free space to be able to now take that fight and have shots being sent towards Astra versus him. So he has to take a more passive line that controls B main to at least half of the degree of the control of B main. Really, really good smart positioning here, and you can see how much of a disadvantage it would be had you taken the fight on the other way.
They can go sideways. They went side.
You have to dash to get out of this space here. Controlling back sight, they can only be front pillar, is a call that you can make here.
Sides. Out tree here, out tree.
Change up the line. Easier to take from heaven, especially with the op.
Holding main.
I'm holding this. See how he constantly talks about pinging? I constantly talk about this with the op. I'm pinging this, I'm holding this line, and that way your team knows exactly where they're safe and where they're not safe. Cross replacement is so much more easier for your opponent or your teammates when they know where you're watching. Great confidence in these fights. Don't have any ammo, unfortunately. Probably spam this box now, right? Okay, never mind. We're all good. Look at this! What? Oh my goodness.
Not that man.
Can you do maybe cage and we cross all together up?
Yeah, if you cage, it might pull attention from someone in heaven.
Dog.
Wait, one ramp on A main.
Vale vuelta, está como el lobo. Vamos a hacer lobo aquí para ir a voltar.
Man, não é possível.
Gana volta.
Não!
Oh my god. Oh!
Rafters. Caralho, mano. Quase matei, mano.
Oh, that sucks.
Hicieron muy.
He set the trap, but couldn't close it.
Lobo ve
Side
inicio.
Not B.
Use cage, he can cross.
I think it's fake. They destroyed my.
É fake, sim.
Ramp jet.
Sure enough.
Racist boom bot.
He has to take this line because of the cage that popped up. So now he has to back up even more because they are in heaven. So to keep the enemy in front of you, you have to be in a spot that can protect you. Cypher takes this line now for him, and he's able to hold this line right here.
Cross city, cross city.
One more ramp.
Cypher city, guys. Fodeu, mano.
¿Sí viene pasando? ¿Certeza?
This is a possible push out too, so he has to be really patient here. The problem is that they cut off rotation now because they have control over heaven, so they could explode over to B, and that's probably what they're communicating right now. It's like, watch your B, they could be flanking you, they could be in spawn, they could be in screens.
We can take B and smoke B.
So he can't really move anywhere right now because he has the operator.
Está en una posición muy.
He can't afford to challenge through because it'll be a close range awkward fight if he does.
Bate os três.
Tem que entrar na smoke, mano, da B.
All three tower.
Nossa.
Could be someone up here, potentially lurking. Smartly grabs a rifle for the retake here.
120 race. -4 this guy.
Hay una mirada, bro. La que está. No, está acá.
Just looking for anything that we can right now. Any kind of frag is huge. We need one entry to be able to have any chance of getting into this bomb site right now.
Nothing under ramp.
Yo estaba bombi.
Default one.
Running low on time. We're at the halfway point now.
One main as well.
No way. Oh.
Filho da puta.
Getting the op back into his hands now.
Okay, heavy, heavy.
People A. I mean, people mid.
Queda que face up, mano. Ok, otra vez.
I trap ends.
Notice the breathing I love this. Aspas is doing pretty much everything I recommend in coaching all the time. You ever have a bot review with me? I talk about this all the time. I want you to just listen to this breathing that he does here. He's collecting information. He controls his blinking too, which is another thing I don't talk about a lot. But he's like there's a chance of taking a fight. I think he even knows timings of where people will be, when they'll be, if they're walking up. So he's controlling that breath and calming his heart rate down right now to be able to land a shot. Going for info here.
I think it's gonna be big. Dug in, even.
They're standing in tower.
Hey, try it.
Nice shot.
Coming. Third tower.
Oh,
Raise A. Kill him.
that was a great move from Raze there to move around and dodge that. And went for the tie, So I'm hoping that this gave you some perspective or a little bit more insight into how Aspas plays so that you can better implement it into your gameplay. Now always remember that frags aren't always the way that you win games. You can win games on just purely time alone, and a lot of times if you base your decisions on timing, you'll end up seeing a lot more success. So just because we get some cool flashy frags here doesn't mean it's the only way or the only way that you should be playing. Always try to choose decisions that are going to best help your team and help serve you win the matches. I hope this helps, and looking forward to doing another one.